I'm here at the overseas call centre of a large insurance company. With me is customer service team leader Mr. Bolte. Mr. Bolte, how easy is it to provide great insurance service to your customers?
Well, we're on another continent. You can never get through. We've no idea who you are, and we're only allowed to work from a script with the information on the screen in front of us. Frankly, you'd be better with High House.
High House Insurance, your local experts. High House Insurance don't pay to be on comparison websites, so your premiums are better value. For a free, no-obligation quote, call Selsey 606 552. High House, local, reliable insurance. High Street, Selsey.
This is Selsey Internet Radio, the podcast for Monday, the 13th of April. This is Selsey Internet Radio, and we have the What's On spot with Lynn Reeve. Hello, Lynn.
Hello. How are we today, everybody?
Just getting by, Lynn.
Just getting by. Okay, well, there's some stuff going on this week in Selsey again, and we're starting off with Monday the 13th of April with the Selsey Camera Club, who are going to be giving a talk by Roger Crocombe entitled Keep Sharp and Exposure Matters.
Exposure Matters, yeah.
At 7:30pm. in St Wilfrid's Church Hall, and visitors are very welcome to that.
That sounds all right.
Sounds all right, doesn't it?
Sounds all right.
On Monday the 13th again, ladies netball in Selsey. Mondays is at 6... Oh, I see. It's on Mondays and Tuesdays, and Mondays at 6 to 7pm in the small gym, and on Tuesdays it's from 7 to 8pm inside the games hall. For all you energetic ladies out there, go and play a bit of netball. I used to be really good at netball when I was at school. Used to love it. It was
Jumping
a long time
around all over
ago.
the place.
I wouldn't do it now. On Tuesday the 14th, in Selsey, the Selsey Visually Impaired Club meet in Hanover Close Lounge from 2 to 4pm. And then you can have transport door to door with the Selsey Venture Bus, so that's quite good.
Yep.
Contact further details from Mrs. Judy Smith on 606 995 or Jill Erickson on 601 628. That's the Selsey Visually Impaired Club.
Right.
Okay. Again on the Tuesday the 14th, the Selsey branch of the Royal Naval Association at the Selsey Club, Cox's Road at 8pm, and all inquiries contact Gavin Roriston on 607 485. Moving on to Wednesday the 15th, we've got the Crafty Natter Club, and they're meeting at 2 to 4pm in Selsey Methodist Church in the large hall. And there's going to be demonstrations of all different kinds of crafts there, and it costs £1 for the meeting. So it might be interesting little finds there if you want to go along there.
Right.
On Thursday the 16th of April, ladies, which I know to be Ladies in Contact, will be meeting in St Peter's Church Hall at 7:15pm, which this month is going to be a meet and chat evening. The cost is just £1.50, which includes refreshments, so that's not bad.
It's pretty good.
And they get a free raffle ticket, so you might win a prize. Usually concludes at about 9pm, with the Venture Bus being available to members. So you can contact either Mary Grantham on 604 718 or Beryl Fletcher on 603 750, who will look forward to seeing you there. That's nice.
Yes.
Another little note for your diary, the Great England Quiz will be taking place on Thursday the 23rd at the Selsey Centre, and the closing date for entry is Wednesday the 15th of April. I know some quizzes that might be interested in that, so yeah, nice little thing to go along to. On Saturday the 18th of April...
Do you keep a diary then?
No, I don't.
Neither do I.
No, I haven't got a clue. No, I wouldn't. No. Years and years ago, when I was a teenage girl.
All these things written secret.
I love Donny Osmond written all over it, I think.
See, they weren't secret anymore once you've written them in there.
No, I like to keep things close to my heart.
Right.
The first Selsey Scout Group charity shop are open from 10 to 12 noon on Saturday the 18th of April. And any charity that you would like to donate, any charity items that you would like to donate, please contact the Scout leader, who is Debs Clothier, on 607 409. That's the first Selsey Scout Group. That's quite good.
Yeah.
And also on the 18th, the tabletop sale being held at the Selsey Methodist Church from 10 to 1pm. Refreshments available, and you can ring Eve on 605 469 for any further info or if you want to take part. Okay?
Yes.
Going well, aren't we? Going to be a busy little week.
Yeah, we are, if we're all there.
If we go to each one of these.
True.
The Selsey Model Boat Club.
If that mist doesn't involve us and take us away.
I love that sea mist. I just like seeing it come in.
I'm sure Stephen King wrote about a mist as well.
Yeah, I was thinking you could get all sorts of ghost stories out of mists, can't
Yeah, it came in the fog.
you? The empty pirate boat or something. Yeah, here we go
Oh,
again.
the pirates again, right. Right, Lynn.
Just plug in that.
Yes.
Selsey Model Boat Club meet at East Beach Pond at 10 o'clock until 12 o'clock on Sundays and Wednesdays, weather permitting, obviously. And the first Sunday in the month is race day. I don't know if you've ever been along the pond there and watched those boats.
No.
But it's quite fascinating to see there's some lovely little boats on that pond going along. Just go along and have a chat or just to have a look. Find out more, contact Chris on 601 550. On Wednesday, the Wood Carvers. Well,
Those again.
this is a place where men can socialise, it says, and get to know each other.
Yeah.
They meet every Wednesday in the Scout Hut in School Lane from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and everybody's welcome.
What did I do with that clothes peg?
You made something out of it, I
Oh, I
suspect.
did, yes, right.
It says here everybody's welcome, and in brackets somebody has put, although I don't expect that includes women. I wonder what would happen if a bunch of us fat cows went along.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
We're gonna boycott you.
Right,
Maybe not. No, we won't. No,
Maybe
we won't.
you heard her. We're not going to do that.
No, we're not. No. On Wednesdays, carpet bowls meet at Medbury School in School Lane, Wednesday and Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock, or Sundays from 9:30 and 3 p.m. Anybody's welcome to go there. Non-members are very welcome. And for more information, call Sylvia Cox on 681 663 or Annette Iskett on 606 227. The Selsey Folk Club meet on Wednesdays as well in St Wilfrid's Church Hall in Church Road, and they start at 7:30 p.m. You can join in and sing, or not if you've got a voice like mine, or you can play, or you can just listen and refreshments will be available. It sounds like it would be a very enjoyable evening, so why not go along and find some more out about it, eh?
Yes.
Or if you could, you can phone Julian on 607 260 or 0772 153 2711.
Right.
Moving on. Loads of stuff going on this week.
Good heavens. Is it
It's gonna
holiday
be a long
season yet?
slot, this one. In it for the long haul. On Thursday, there will be a whist drive at the Selsey Club, Cox's Road, starting at 7:30. And you can find out about that from Sandy Lewis on 605 942. And if you're more interested in football than you are in whist, you can go along. They're looking actually for people to join the Deadbeats walking football team. That sounds a bit more like my exercise. You walk around the football
Deadbeats
pitch.
walking
Deadbeat
people.
walking football team.
Does that mean they go a lot slower?
I think they just walk.
They just walk.
They just walk, yeah. And they're looking for more Bobby Charltons to join them. They meet at the Selsey Centre from 6 to 7 on Thursdays. So go along and find out more about it. Or again, you can contact Martin Woods on 607721. On Friday, the Derby and Joan Club meet at St Peter's Church Hall from 2 to 4 p.m. So why not go along and have a cup of tea and a chat? It's always good if you're a bit of a loose end, isn't it? It's nice to go and have a chat and just have a cup of tea and a game of bingo. And for more information, call Jill
And a game of
Evendon on 604 187.
Sounds nice.
Yeah. On Saturday, the Venture Club.
They're back again.
The Venture Club is just round by the back of the co-op, for those that don't know.
There you are, folks.
Just round by the back of the co-op, are having a garage sale from 9 to 12. You can go and have a little rummage there. And also on Saturday, the Selsey Scouts charity shop in School Lane will be open from 10 till 12. On Sundays, you've got the tabletop sale at the Selsey Centre from 9 to 12:30. That's always worth a little look. Lots of crafty things going on in there. So that's on Sunday at the tabletop sale at the Selsey Centre from 9 o'clock to 12:30.
That Scout place used to have some decent books, didn't they, at one time?
Did they?
Well, sort of, yeah.
Did you? Did you go and have a little rummage in there? Did
Used to have a look, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where. There's a bookshop right on the corner, isn't there?
Yeah, sort of, again.
Nature's.
Yes.
Yeah, that's quite good in there. If you like reading. But my sister's just told me that she's read 2,000 books this year on her Kindle.
2,000.
2,000 books. That's some reading, isn't it?
That's an awful lot
That's
of
an
reading.
awful lot of time spent reading. Bless her.
I could do about 3 books a year.
Yeah. Depends what they are, doesn't it, really?
It does.
It does. I just want a little mention, if you don't mind, Dennis, Smugglers
Nope.
Day, or as it's now going to be known as the traditional carnival with a smuggler's theme on the 30th of August. They still need marshals, and they're looking for marshals desperately to monitor the road closure. And it's just to work a few hours during the day. So if anybody's interested in helping out there, please can you contact Colin Rickman on 602021 or on his mobile on 07710 405 011. Thank you.
Yes, so we want some marshals. We want some people around there who are willing to be just cautionary people who are helping other people to get into line.
Yes.
And we'll have a great day.
Yes, we will.
Okay, Lynn.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you for coming in, and we leave now. Then we now have Pat Reed, the Selsey Shopper, guiding us around the shops. This is Selsey Internet Radio, and we have the delectable Pat Reed. Okay, Pat.
Hi. Each month I endeavour to give you some helpful hints and information on what's going on in our high street and surrounding area. This month I have something for both men and ladies and 2 newly opened shops to report on. Firstly, for the men and newly opened, Shades, which replaces Retro Treats in the High Street near the corner of East Street. As I reported recently, Retro Treats has been moved up a few doors and is now part of 131, the ice cream parlour, an artisan coffee shop which is now up and running. Shades stocks men's leisure wear in all sizes, small, medium, large and extra large. And at the moment this shop is only open on Fridays and Saturdays from 9:30 until 4:30 and on Sundays from 11 until 4. Their ranges include tracksuits, t-shirts, polo shirts, hoodies and more. So worth looking in Shades if you're looking for men's leisure wear for this summer. The second new shop is where Delightful Things R Us used to be, opposite the Co-op entrance. This is now called Dorian's, which is a play on Doreen and Ian, who are now the new owners. The shop has been open for 3 weeks when I called in, and on that morning was doing a brisk trade in attractive faux fur throws in all colours, which were on sale for £10, and I must say looked a lot more expensive. They stock a whole range of goods, including bedding, makeup, jewellery, toys, drinks and sweets, and much more. What particularly caught my eye was their extensive range of 3D pictures and photographs, ready to hang, which are a bargain at £5, and I couldn't resist one myself while I was in there. Ian had just taken delivery of unusual novelty solar lights for the garden, which seemed very reasonable at the £4.99 he was charging. There was also a train set for £10. So if you're looking for a present or something for your own home, it's worth having a look in Dorian's. They're open 6 days a week at present and closed on Mondays. Next door, Carol's Interiors have a sale sign in their window, so I called in to see what was on offer. If you haven't already had a look around this shop, I can recommend calling in for a browse, as they've made good use of the space with soft furnishings of every description, very attractive ornaments and wall art, and a small selection of furniture. The sale is on until the end of April, and there's 50% off ready-made curtains, cushions, wall art, lamps and much more. They have beautiful nets and curtains on display in all sorts of designs and colours to suit most tastes. Lastly for this month, and mainly for the ladies, a business a short walk further on from the High Street, past the church and small traffic island, and take the left turn into the Bun Leisure Green Lawns Caravan Park. This business is called EHS Hair and Beauty, and you'll see they have an advertising board out on the road. They're about 50 yards further on inside the entrance, on the right, just before the Viking Lodge pub on the site. EHS is not only a hair and beauty salon, but half of the building stocks a large range of clothes, jewellery and accessories. The other half is a ladies' and men's hairdressers and much more. They provide many treatments including massage, facials, waxing, manicures, pedicures and tanning. Their telephone number is 601110 or call in for their detailed price list, which will give you all the information. Well, that's all for this month, so tune in next month when I hope to have more news on what's going on in Selsey's shops.
Right, thank you, Pat, and see you later. And now Keith hears from the model maker Chris Reed, who is the chairman of the Selsey Model Boat Club, about his hobbies.
And welcome once again to Selsey Internet Radio. My name's Keith Barnes, and in the studio with me this morning I've got Chris Reed. Now, Chris can usually be found in his shed, and that's his words, not mine, building model boats and ships, but recently he turned his hand to building something different. Chris, can you tell us about it?
Yes, a friend of ours in the village here, Gillian Crowley, she's a voluntary worker up at the Roman Palace.
Oh.
And one day she was in the foyer and they've got a model of the Roman Palace in a glass case. And there was a gentleman and somebody who's not been able to see very well, and his carer was trying to describe the Roman Palace to him. She thought, wouldn't it be a good idea if they had one that people with trouble seeing things clearly could feel and touch?
That sounds like a good idea.
And she came to me and said, you know, could you do something about this? And like a fool, I said yes. And about 3 years later, we finally finished it.
How many hours has that taken over 3 years?
Hundreds of hours. But I suppose the thing you've got to remember with something like that is, A, you've got to have lots of patience. And B, it's a hobby. So you get fed up or frustrated with making a particular piece, put it down, walk away, have a cup of tea, read the paper, come back either a couple of hours later or even a couple of days later, and you'll find that you've sorted the problem out and you can carry on with it.
Yeah, that's true to be said for a lot of hobbies, I think.
Yes, yeah.
When it's not going right, give it a rest.
That's it, yeah, take a little break, have a Kit Kat.
So you set about building this model now. What did you use to build it?
Well, yes, it took a little while to sort out what I was going to use to build it, because originally Gillian was giving me big blocks of wood and was expecting me to carve it. And I thought, no, that's definitely not on. So we sort of thought about it. You couldn't use the materials I use for model boats because that's too thin, too flimsy, and it needs to be fairly robust. And I had a piece of scrap tongue and groove in the garage. I started fiddling about with that and playing, and I thought, cut the tongues and grooves off, draw onto it the plan that you want, windows, doors, etc., drill them out and then carve them out so that you've got all the openings. You've now got sort of 3/8 thick plank. And just glue it together with basic tongue and tenon joints. So it made it fairly sturdy. You know, you could even stand on it.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. I wouldn't try, but you know, it'll take quite a lot of battery.
I certainly shouldn't try.
Yeah. But it took a couple of years to make the whole thing.
That's an awful lot of work. I mean, obviously, if you're doing something like that for visually impaired people, you've got to be very wary, and you've got to sort of think how they approach it, because obviously you can't have sharp edges or
no, that's right. Yeah,
things like that.
It was all sanded down, varnished and painted. The garden, for instance, on the model itself, you've got tall trees. Well, I haven't put the trees in because how can you make trees that people are going to be able to feel and not break?
Yeah.
So you can't sort of reinforce them with wire or anything like that because they might stab themselves on it. So I omitted the trees, but I managed to put in the garden, the gravel and the shrubs.
And I guess
the hedgerow,
use model or modelling.
Well, no, actually the hedges were made out of Scotch Brite. You know, the green scouring pad. Yeah, and just glued into place.
Well, it is to have a bit of imagination.
Yeah.
It's surprising what you can use when it comes to things like that. So, has this gone on display now, or is it...
No, I believe it gets handed over. We're waiting for the Crowleys, because it was their idea, we're waiting for them to come back. They're visiting relatives in Australia at the moment.
Oh,
they'll be back in 3 or 4 weeks, and I believe, I'm not sure the date, but it's been handed over in May.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, if you build something like that, it's got to be quite hard wearing, because it's being touched all the time.
That's
Now,
right, yeah.
Any museum you go to where you see stuff that's handled all the time, it shows signs of wear pretty
Yeah.
quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, the main bits they'll be handling will be the roof. Well, all the roofs, there's lots of them. And that was made with old blind slats, the wooden slats that they used for making blinds. That was made with those, and then they were covered with 1 centimetre square cardboard tiles that are cut out painstakingly. And there must be at least 5,000 of these on the roof that were all glued in individually. Then they were painted so they looked terracotta. And then once that was fully dry, I went over the whole of it with a matte varnish so that it can easily be wiped down at the end of the day after people have been handling
where
it.
the patience comes in.
Yes.
I don't think I'd have the skill or patience for that, but to stick those 5,000 tiles on individually.
Yeah.
But aside from this project, excuse me, of course, you're better known, if you like, for model boat building and being a member of the Model Boat Club.
Yeah, well, I'm currently the chairman of the Model Boat Club.
Well, you are then. You can't get much more of a member than being chairman, can you?
Yeah.
And in case people don't know, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that don't actually know, because I see you, because it's not far from me, down at East Beach Pond, but you're down there a couple of times a week.
Well, we've got a licence with Chichester Council, who are actually responsible for the pond, so we have to pay them a licence and we have to have third-party insurance. But we can use the pond 7 days a week from sun up till sundown. But we actually have allocated club hours, but that anybody can go along at any time outside of those hours. But our normal meeting time is 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock on a Sunday. In the winter, it's 10 o'clock till 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. But once the car park charges come into force, we meet at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. For the very simple reason, you only have to pay 20 pence to cover you till 5 o'clock, after which it's free. And that's instead of £1.10. Well, when you're doing that every 52 weeks a year,
That's right.
it's better off in our pocket than in someone else's.
Absolutely. I don't think the council agree, but
well,
and now you've given them the clue. Well, they might just extend the.
Well, at the moment they're not even maintaining the machines, because only out of 5 machines there, only 1 works.
No, well, there you go. No wonder they lose money.
Well, this is it.
And I've been down a couple of times to East Beach Pond when the guys have been down there with the boats. There's some fantastic models. I mean, the work that must go into some of them. Some of them look to me to be quite basic, but some of them seem to be. Oh yes,
well you've got all levels of skill. Or people that are just interested in the boats, and they'll buy one ready-made, and they just enjoy playing with it on the water. Big boys' toys.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody needs to tell me about big boys' toys. I promise you.
But you've got different levels of skill. There are the basic, which is just a hull with a deck and a few little bits and pieces on it, or down to the more intricate model, which can take you 2 or 3 years to build.
Yeah, I saw one down. There was a guy was launching a boat off the back of another model.
Like a lifeboat off a ship?
That sort of thing, yeah. I was 4 or 5 years ago now, I guess, when I saw it. But I was just intrigued. I thought, he's sitting there with a remote control and working all that. And I also noticed that they have pegs with numbers on them that didn't seem to make much sense to me. And I thought, should I ask what that's all about and look a fool, or should I just shut up and not know?
If you don't ask, you'll never find out.
Well, I always reckon that.
And I always used to say when I was in the Navy and I was in teaching, it's better to ask a question than make a mistake, because your mistake could cost somebody their life.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yes, the pegboard, this is not quite so much used now. But going back to the earlier days, you had different frequencies to operate your radio control. And the older system was the 27 megahertz. And you had a pegboard with all the different numbers on it and the different frequencies. And when you came along, you'd put your peg on there, and anybody else then could see that frequency was in use.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, because if you had 2 of you on the same frequency, you'd be operating.
That's right. You'd just say, I'm on the same frequency, and say, right, give us 20 minutes and then you can have a go. Then things modified and got a little better. We're going up to 40 megahertz, which was more powerful and gave you a better range and better response. But even now, we're on 2.4 gigahertz, which is even more powerful, uses less battery power, and you lock your transmitter to the receiver and nobody else can interfere with it. So you can have 10 people on 2.4 gigahertz all using the same thing and nobody's going to interfere with each other.
Yeah.
So the pegboard is beginning to die out.
Yeah, I have to say, I've never felt the hankering to get involved with model boats, but model aircraft would intrigue me. But,
well, it's the same radio control.
But it's just the thought of all the hours spent building a model aircraft just to plough it into the ground when you make a mistake.
Well, about 35 years ago, I did get into model aeroplanes, and after I crashed 3, I thought maybe I'll stick to boats, because if they sink, you can wade out and get them back. But I've never sunk one yet.
Now, I did hear rumours recently that there was talk of a model shop coming to the village, and I don't know if anything will ever come of it. Well, a couple of weeks ago, I heard a rumour that somebody was looking into bringing a model shop into the...
Yes, it depends what sort of model, because you've got... I mean, if you go back to our youth, you bought your Airfix kits, your little model aeroplanes, which you pinned to the ceiling, or you bought the Killcraft balsa wood aeroplanes that you cut out, painstakingly glued together, covered all the wings and that with tissue and then doped it, a propeller on a rubber band, and you could buy these things for 4 shillings and 11 pence.
Try it now.
Yeah, that's right. But that's how we learnt our skill on making models.
Yeah, no, my son-in-law is heavily involved in model cars, model car racing. He actually set up a club in Basingstoke where they live, and he's got the grandsons involved in it. But the cost of some of the cars.
Oh yes.
If my daughter ever finds out, she'll kill him. But yeah, you know, there can be a tremendous cost to some of it.
Oh yes, I mean you can buy a kit there's an example, a kit 196 scale model of HMS Cossack. The kit will cost you £260.
Ooh.
And it'll probably take you best part of a year to put together. And that doesn't include motors, transmitter, receivers, servos and speed controller, which can cost you best part of another £100.
With me, I don't think it would be the cost so much as the time. I could see I'd get probably a third of the way through it, and then that'd be it. It'd be
if you go to
left forever.
I mean, we attend the model exhibition, the Model Engineers exhibition at Midhurst every February. And it's a brilliant day out. We take a load of boats up and put them on show as a static display. But you've got people there that will build aeroplanes, cars, lorries, steam engines, working steam engines. And they can take 10, 15, 20 years to build a model of a steam engine, a traction engine. And you go up there and they've got a track and they've got these things working. Yeah. And it's fantastic.
Incredible. Well, thanks for that insight into model building and what's involved in it. And I look forward to seeing this model at Fishbourne. I'm intrigued by that now.
Yeah, when I know the date itself, I'll let you know.
Okay, that's brilliant. Well, thanks for coming in, Chris. And maybe we'll catch up with you again in the future and find out how the model boats are going.
Yeah, well, you know where we are down the pond.
Absolutely.
Any Wednesdays and Sundays.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Now it's over to Keith's kitchen for this week's recipe.
And Keith's recipe this week is for corned beef and onion pie. Now, this is served 6, so if you live on your own, you'll be sick to death of it by the time you finished it. But it's a very tasty dish, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Now, you can either buy the short crust pastry in a block, or you can make it yourself. We'll give you what you need for that in a moment. Right, and this is what you need for the filling. 15 grams of butter, 1 tablespoonful of sunflower oil, 1 large onion sliced or chopped, 2 celery sticks trimmed and pull the stringy bits off as well and slice them, 2 medium carrots cut into roughly 1 centimetre dices, 300 grams of potatoes, preferably Maris Pipers, peeled and cut roughly 1 centimetre dice, like the carrots, and a good squirt of tomato ketchup, about 1 to 2 tablespoons. And you need 1 340 gram can of corned beef, some freshly ground black pepper. Now for the pastry, you need 300 grams of plain flour, plus a bit extra for throwing all over the place when you're rolling it out, a good pinch of sea salt, 175 grams of cold butter, cubed, and 1 large egg. And this is what we do. For the filling, melt the butter with the oil in a large non-stick frying pan. Add the onion, celery, carrots and potatoes and cook over a low heat for about 15 minutes or until the vegetables are softened and beginning to colour. and give them a good regular stirring. The carrots should retain a little bit of bite, nothing worse than mushy carrots. Add the ketchup and stir into the vegetables for a few seconds before adding the corned beef. Break the beef into chunky pieces with a wooden spoon and mix with the vegetables. Now season with a black pepper. You shouldn't need salt as the corned beef's always fairly salty anyway. And remove from the heat. And leave this to cool for about 20 minutes. Preheat the oven to 190 degrees centigrade or gas mark 5 in old money. To make the pastry, put the flour, salt and butter in a food processor and blitz on the pole settings until the mixture resembles breadcrumbs. Lightly whisk the egg with a tablespoonful of cold water in a small bowl. Slowly pour all but 1 tablespoon of the eggs mixture into the food processor with the motor running and blend until the mixture begins to form a ball. Turn the pastry out into a well-floured work surface. That's where your extra bit of flour comes in. And bring it together into a ball. Take about a third of the pastry, roll it out and use it to line a 23 cm pie plate or a 20 cm round ceramic quiche dish or a deep Victoria sandwich tin. Leave any excess pastry overhanging over the edge. That's all right. Brush the pastry edge lightly with the reserved egg. Now spoon the filling into the pastry base and spread to all the sides so it's nice and even. Flour the surface once more and roll out the remaining pastry. Lift the rolled pastry over the rolling pin and place gently over the filling. Press the edges firmly together, then trim nice and neatly so it all looks a bit nice, because there's nothing better than well-presented food. And press a fork around the edge to seal it up. Brush the top of the pastry with the egg, cut across in the centre and place on a baking tray and bake for about 40 minutes or until the pastry is golden brown and the filling piping hot. What a lovely tasty dish that's going to be. And cheap. Corned beef's fairly cheap. So corned beef and onion pie for this week. Enjoy.
That sounds tasty. And we finish with our resident gardener, Giles Peer.
And back once again in the studio with me today is Giles Peer, our gardening expert. Morning, Giles.
Good morning, good afternoon. I mean, it's nice.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I never know.
I know that.
I barely know what day it is.
An Irishman says good morning, as you know, until about 5 o'clock.
Yes, right.
But anyway, good day.
Good day.
And nature's still rapidly moving on now, even more rapidly than the other week.
It gathers pace at this time of year, doesn't it?
Certainly does. Very much so for us gardeners. April showers actually do give the flowers and trees a really nice fresh appearance, which is really, that's the nice side of the showers we're getting. They really makes everything look so fresh and, I don't know, just a lovely appearance.
Yeah.
And also outside in the woods and everywhere we go now, primroses, violets and daisies are very rife to abounding in numbers.
The daisies certainly are in my lawn.
Well, they are everywhere now, yeah, and that's nice to see. And the other thing about the showers, of course, is we get some very colourful rainbows.
Indeed,
in
yes.
between the showers, which at this time of year is lovely to see.
Absolutely.
They're very, very pretty, especially actually round this area. Down here in Selsey, we tend to get a good view quite often, especially if you're, say, somewhere like the Bill.
Yeah.
Up at the Bill, and you're looking out. You can get a really nice view of the rainbows, actually. And birdsong, of course, now is very, very prevalent, especially the dawn chorus, as we all know.
Yeah.
And the night chorus, which people tend to forget about. That can be equally
indeed,
nice to listen to, actually. Ponds, anyone with ponds start feeding the fish now a little bit, not too much to start with, it's a little, because they are waking up a bit. Anyone who's had bulbs in the house like hyacinths, daffodils, indoors, the ones we've been looking at, they can now be planted out in the garden because they'll have all finished by now. So you can plant them out because they'll still come up outside next year, hopefully.
Yeah.
Any daffodils and narcissi that are flowering now, it's a good idea to deadhead them every so often because that keeps them going that much longer as it does most things.
Plums it a bit.
Yeah, it does indeed. As regarding sowing tomatoes and cucumbers now can be sown in in preparation for a cold greenhouse or outdoors. The seeds can be sown now in preparation. Also, it's a good idea to attach some half-empty coconut shells to the beams in sheds and outhouses, and they will sometimes, hopefully, the swallows and all the robins will nest in them.
Yeah, right.
So that it does work, and it does sometimes pay dividends, because it's nice to have them around. Of course it is. Repair any lawns that need doing now. In other words, any bare patches or anything, either returf them or put seed down. Do it now, before so things really get going.
I've almost been talked into replacing our little bit of lawn, and it's not very big at all.
Yeah.
With AstroTurf.
Well, yeah,
Because,
lots of people do it. Yeah.
It seems to be a big thing, actually.
Well, yeah, it is.
There was a guy on Facebook three weeks ago who, said, "Here's my company. This is what we do. We replace you." And he was swamped with people saying,
"Yeah, I'm not surprised. Yeah,
come round give us a price." Because I think once the people actually got a price, it put them off a bit, because it's far from.
But on the other hand, it some of it does look quite, it looks good.
Oh, it's getting better every year.
It is, and also, of course, saves a lot of work. At the end of the day, a lot of work.
It takes me about 2 minutes to cut.
Well, yeah,
so it's not too much work. But,
exactly.
And I think it's about £1,500 to replace it with AstroTurf.
Yeah, well, yeah,
give
I know.
Some idea.
I know it's not cheap. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But
molehills, I'm going to come round to. I don't know if people do have them round here. Of course, like everywhere. A good idea, if they do start springing up on the lawns, is to get half an onion, a raw onion, and place them in the molehill where the hole is, where they come in or out, and place one of those, and that does tend to make them go somewhere else.
Does it really?
It does work, yeah. It's worth trying anyway, put it that way, definitely. Early peas can be sown now, outdoors. The earlies, they can be started now. Another little tip is to paint the tips of garden tools with a bright colour, red or whatever it might be, with a waterproof paint, and then people are often saying, "Oh, where have I left this or the other?" And that will help.
Yeah,
that will help a lot, because I've done it myself. You go around looking all over the garden for a spade or whatever it might be, and you think, "Where the heck is it?" And they can anyway. That's a little.
Of course,
tip
it will stop you treading on things like rakes.
Well, yeah, exactly, and that's another thing. Yeah. And I'd like to wish everyone a blessed and joyous Easter time, and hope it's a peaceful time, and time maybe to do a little gardening, but also to take in the gifts of nature. Right, thank you very much.
I'm sure we'd all like to wish you the same.
Thank you very
Giles.
much. Thank you.
Well, that's all, folks. Listen again next week. Thanks to our contributors, Lynn, Pat, Chris and Giles. And your presenters this week are Keith Barnes, me, and our producer was John Fletcher.